This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcast. This is the podcast where we're going to be discussing the journey of entrepreneurs, business owners, agency leaders, and so many other cool people as they share with us the strategies, the challenges, and the triumphs that have led them to secure those first 100 customers. I'm really excited today because we have a very special guest today, Julia Wilk from Wheelhorse Web. Hi, Julia. How are you?
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing? Very excited to have you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm having a good, going into the holidays week, everything's a little flown, wrapping up all the things that you don't want to be worrying about, on break. But I'll be just
What's up with the Christmas shopping?
Yeah, that too.
No, it's chaos for me. I'm from a family of 7, which means a bunch of gifts.
Oh yeah.
And I have to every year, it's like, oh my God, I have to go and buy them. And we with work, it's not like you can just go in the middle of the day.
Totally. I mean, I make my own schedule, so sometimes I plan to do that. But also just clients. I have a lot of e-commerce clients, and then the holidays are kind of the rush time for them. And so either they'll be asking for a lot, or they'll just be completely off map because they just don't have time to talk to me. So
Yeah,
I'm predicting what it is going to be a lot going on or nothing. This year it's been pretty smooth, so I'm grateful for that.
Amazing. No, yeah. Well, Julia, we're here chit-chatting, but I think we need to let the people know who you are. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Give us a little bit of background so that everybody watching can know more about you.
Totally. Yeah. So I'm based in Vermont, but my business is totally remote. Although I do have a lot of local clients, as well as folks that I meet with online. We do WordPress tech support mainly and web development. A lot of small business websites. We really like to work with e-commerce. We do a lot of maintenance for existing sites, but we have a partner, Carol and Matt, who does graphic design. So, as well as Laura Beck, who does copywriting. So we'll often do, the copywriting, the graphic design, and then I'll be looping in to build a nice WordPress website and worry about all the technical details at the end there. So yeah, I kind of have a team that I work with of different partners, but our primary focus is on making sure WordPress sites run really smoothly, fixing any problems that come up, and just helping people with the technical know-how that they need to be able to take that digital marketing to the next level, or just have a site that's running really smoothly. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So I want to ask you, which is my first question, what inspired you to actually, first of all, go into the web development side of things? And why did you end up working, founding Wheelhorse Web? How did all of this story come to fruition?
Sure. Yeah. I always was pretty good at computer stuff. I think because my parents were both sort of computer people when I was growing up. I had a lot of support in learning those skills. So I took, some programming courses earlier on, but ultimately decided to end up studying modern languages a lot more. And I worked in that, translating, editing. I worked in subtitle production for a while. I lived in Montreal at the time, and then I moved to Vermont, and I continued doing that same thing, but I eventually wanted to do something that was just a little more connected to people in my community, and just wanted to be able to meet with people instead of something that was where I was very, very isolated and solo. And so I was kind of thinking about what my skills were. I thought about technology. I connected with somebody locally named Perry Heller, who had a Mac repair business, and we were sort of trying to figure out how could we work together. So I ended up sharing an office with him when I first got started, and there were a lot of people that just kind of came through his business to me, and yeah, just like built it from there. I think like I really enjoy, as someone who had been self-employed a lot before that, I was really looking for like, what is the need in the community? Where is there like a gap that I could fill? Um, and I really like working with business owners because I also am a business owner, and that's always super fun.
Yeah, no. And I actually want to know a little bit about the logistical side of like, this whole thing. We are called First 100. So I always want to ask all of my guests, how did you actually get those first few
Yeah.
clients? And then once you get them, what happens then?
Uh-huh. Yes, that's such a good question. I mean, I think like, so at first, I think Perry helped me get those first very couple clients because he said, sometimes people come in and ask for help with their websites, and that's just not what I do. So that was just like the very little seed that started everything rolling. I ended up joining a BNI chapter that was in a nearby city, which is, I don't know if you've heard of BNI, it's like very intense, like doing a lot of networking. And there's just like a lot of built-in support. So that I think really kind of forced me to take my business seriously. I don't, not that I wouldn't have otherwise, but sometimes it's hard when you're not connected with other people. So that was really where I think probably the first 100 probably came through the BNI network and just word of mouth from those clients. And then I think the what next, once you have those people, I think in the very beginning, a lot of times you're just like looking for data points in a way, like you're taking whatever customer or client in my case and just finding out what they need, finding out what their problems are and how it works when you try to solve those problems. And then further, like later on in the process, it starts to become more of a narrowing down, like these are the clients I like working with. These are the clients I'm actually able to help really well, and start to use the experience you're getting from the shot, like the spray and pray approach. You have to really look for who you really want to be working with and kind of sometimes start saying no to clients that just aren't going to be a good fit based on your experiences with those first, however many, probably like the first 50, 60 clients. I felt like that was the way I was doing it. I was just like, whatever you need, I'll try to fix it. I'll try to do it. And now I can't do that anymore. I gotta be discerning. So
No, I mean, obviously, as I think as any business grows, I think at the beginning, everyone is kind of like in the same mindset of let's just get anything, and then we work from there. And I think once you start to find stability, it's easier for you to sort of also have a niche of what you are going to do. Um,
yeah.
but I actually want to ask you more on that, like what then? So you had your first 100 clients, for, to September, but let's just say like you were already getting a steady number of people coming in. How did you actually start scaling and, working on making this a bigger thing? I always want to know this because I think a lot of business owners that I talk to on the podcast, like I had this one guy tell me like my dream was just to have like my business and for it to be successful, but I never thought about what I was going to do if it actually started to do well. He was just like, I was so excited to like, get a bunch of people. And then I was so overwhelmed. And it was like my dream was my biggest nightmare because
Yeah.
healing was just like, he was like, he had to like start turning down people. He felt like he was losing money. He was losing like, and then he told me this whole story about how he learned about scaling. And I want to know what yours was because I think it's like such a huge leap for people.
Oh my God. Yeah, it really is. I don't know. I've listened to a lot of like, I like to listen to a lot of podcasts about business and stuff like that, similar to this. Like one thing I remember hearing like early on was that like whatever tactics got you to where you are now, like you're gonna have it's gonna be totally different skills for like the next phase because just like as business grows, you really need to adjust. And I think that like first of all, I got a little bit lucky early on because I had a long time best friend that is also quite techie. and also is a business owner. And she kind of came on as my like second in command pretty early on, like maybe a few years in, and she's been with me ever since. And she's just amazing. Her name's Sarah. So having like a consistent, steady, competent person to kind of be my first contractor, like my first team member, was really helpful. I mean, we had to figure out how to work together, but it was very forgiving because like I already knew she was very good at like technical stuff. Like I already knew I could really trust her, like some of the things that I think give people anxiety when they're first hiring team members. So that one was easy. I would say after that, it became a little bit difficult. And I didn't always have the dream that I was necessarily going to build a team. There's, I think, a lot of different ways people go. Some people, just want to be
Their own person.
their solopreneur forever and just maybe be more choosy about their projects that they take on as they grow. I don't feel that way. I do want to have a team. I think I don't want to wear all the hats, and I want to have some choice, and I want to be able to switch off, and I want to be able to take a break uh, for however long needed. And so the team has really helped me do that, and it has been extremely hard because I didn't really have much management experience before starting the business. I had really always been like a solopreneur my whole career. And I mean, I worked in an office at one point, but I wasn't a manager there. I was like a technician. The EMIS entrepreneur, manager, technician, like framework, I had not before. I'm like entrepreneur or technician. That was my experience. So had to learn a lot of skills. I've definitely been through a lot of contractors that have stayed for varying amounts of time. And, it's always hard when there's turnover. I always feel like I should have done better in picking somebody or making sure they were, well suited for the job, but overall, I think that was kind of necessary for me to go through and learn what I'm looking for, how, like what works, what doesn't. And I'm starting to get a better kind of process around selecting contractors and communicating with them and having systems so that like I can keep track of everything going on, because that's the mental energy needed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Significant sometimes. Yeah. So I'm still in the I think in the very beginning it was the figuring out what my business is stage and like learning the things I need to know in order to deliver the service. I'm like way past that at this point. It's like growing the team culture. How do we manage everybody? How do we keep track of all the tasks? How do we communicate with the clients and like work together? And I'm still in that, but it's been a couple years.
So work in progress
there.
I do hope it gets better for you. I think this reminds me of kind of my situation when I moved out of my parents' house, and I started living with roommates.
Oh yeah, it sounded like that actually.
Yes, and I was just thinking, this is just like that. Like, like when you were also talking about working with your best friend. I mean, I moved out of my parents' house, I think like most people do, like as soon as I graduated high school, I went off to college. I feel like I was so young and immature, and I had like kind of like been under my parents' umbrella for my whole life that I didn't know anything about the real world. And I made a lot of choices out of stupidity.
Yeah.
I moved in with this one girl who I was really good friends with.
Right.
And it turns out we were good friends. We were not good roommates.
Totally.
Yeah, we had so many issues living together. We had so many fights. It completely destroyed our friendship. Like we stopped being friends after that because it was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
And then after that, like I remember I started to it did help me learn a lot because I did learn sort of red flags that you also have to see in people before you move in with them. How like sometimes a friendship can be good as a friendship, but not in like a different kind of setting. Like a lot of, and then I had a bunch of roommates throughout like my college life. Like I kept moving around. I never stayed in like an apartment for too long because I was also like, a lot was going on. Like, and so until I graduated, I had a bunch of roommates. And I think it was like what you were saying about finding a team and working with your friends and meeting. Oh my gosh, I had to learn so much in order to figure out what it was like to be a good to have a good roommate, to sort of be a decent person to live with, because I'm not being in my parents' home was completely different than like being on my own.
Sure. Yeah, it totally is. I think like there's people too that you like that I'm like even just thinking of people in my life right now. Like there's some that I'm like, I love you so much, dude. Like we are, and I don't want to work with you in any capacity. Then there's other people that is just like, I don't really, we wouldn't like hang out, but like at work, we work together well. And so recognizing the signs of which person is this is really nice. Like once you start getting better at like identifying that early on, it's just like they have a lot of frustration.
And it takes, I feel like it takes a lot of really bad experiences or for you to get to a place where you're like, okay, I get it. I understand. And I mean, obviously you're in a different situation, but it was just like, I was just hearing you say that. And it was like, this is what I was going through every time I had a bad roommate. And I would have like a really bad experience. And then I'd be like, what did I do wrong? Like, what is so wrong? And then it was like, yeah, a learning experience. And then I think I sort of got better. Also with maturity and age, because obviously I was a 17-year-old.
Of course. And it's not always like, yeah, it's totally not always the other person. Like I figured out like, just to go back to, my team and what works, it's like, I need to meet with you in the beginning. If you're a contractor with me, like I need to meet with you like 3 times a week, maybe, or maybe even just once a week. But I notice and when we meet, it's like, okay, here's the list of tasks, like bang, bang, bang. Tell me like what's going on with this one, this one, this one. Like if nothing has happened and we don't have any work, then we need to talk about why and like, is that okay? And how are we going to revisit and etc. So I noticed a pattern where it's like, if people kept canceling those meetings, if we weren't meeting regularly, it was just not going to happen. Like it was not going to work with the person. So that's one thing that, I just have learned about myself, because I used to be so loosey-goosey with it. I'd be like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Like, you're just working on that over there. And like, I trust you and everything's good. But just because like I'm the one actually talking to the client, I need to really be strict about always being on top of where everybody's at in the different tasks. And yeah, it's tough. You got to learn the hard way. You really do.
Well, yeah, no, it's tough, but I think it's like a great learning experience. And I think it also makes, the working environment better when you can have that organization. And like you said, it's a process, right?
Hold on one second. I just want to kind of stop the notifications. Are you getting like a buzzing sound every time I get a text or no?
No, I'm
okay.
like
Let's not go on.
But I can like, yeah, you can turn it off. It's fine.
I don't know how easy it is to do that from. Seems like
you don't have to
I got it. You just bragging about how great I am at tech, like turning off notifications on a phone while I'm in a busy conference. We're on my turn.
It's a computer, not a phone.
Right? There's so many different specialties within tech too. So I know a lot of friends that are really technical people, and they're like, what confounds a lot of people is like how to set up hosting and DNS. Like that's so easy for me now, but then like my other friend who's like a coding genius is just like completely out of their depth.
My brother is studying computer science right now, and like I see him sometimes like doing his homework, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And then he will explain something really complicated, and I'll just be like,
it's very specialized. It's very, very specialized.
Because it's like, yeah, there's so much stuff to go within just like tech in general. It's crazy. Which actually I wanted to ask you, what industries or clients do you guys typically serve or work with the most? Is there like a specific type of client that you are scouting for or looking for, or do you guys have like, an openness to anybody that wants web development help?
Yeah, we're pretty open. I think we are most specifically interested in e-commerce sites, and that is a lot of our clients that have been pretty steady with us. Like, if I had to really name my ideal client, I'd say an e-commerce site that also does content marketing, to somebody who's got an active digital marketing strategy that they're implementing and then need help implementing. So we've had a lot of clients like that because we can help on the tech side. And with an e-commerce site, you really need that to work. It's not like a brochure site. Sure, it could be brochure, meaning it's not super functionality based. It's more informational. Usually it's those sites kind of run a little bit, more on autopilot. There's not a lot going on there unless they have something like a complicated events calendar or some other, like a course, like a learning online, like a learning management system. Those can be complicated, but we just haven't ended up doing as many of those. Like the e-commerce part, we've sort of specialized in over time, and then a lot of times we'll end up doing like some social media posts, some blog posts, some SEO work for that. Like we can really like build out a full, like just add in a lot of services that help them to execute all of the technical parts of, not that social media is always technical, but the SEO part, creating the content, with like an SEO framework in mind, can be sometimes very technical, and we have good writers, on our team, and, decent design where we have our design partner. I digress. So we have a lot of e-commerce clients, love e-commerce, especially if they're marketing actively. Aside from that, we have a lot of just kind of random like small businesses and nonprofits that are using WordPress, but I would say nonprofits also tends to be an interesting like chunk. We just tend to have a lot of them. And they're lovely, of course, because, usually mission driven and nice people, and
Yeah, no, and nonprofits are very interesting to work with because a lot of them need help. And, like you would think that, I think I was talking about this the other day. We have a program called Penji for Good, where we essentially give like the service for free to some nonprofits. And we take, and like it's kind of like our way to give back to the community. But I've learned through that program that a lot of nonprofits need help with marketing and sales and stuff like a little bit that sounds less, I guess, more like business. Or because you would think that when you're trying to help a nonprofit, your first thought is like volunteering, like if it's an orphan type of thing, it's like, oh, let's go feed the orphans and stuff like that. Yeah, that can be helpful, but you also need to help with like the building and the structure of that place, because a nonprofit is very similar to a business, right?
in a lot of ways, yeah. One thing I like about working with nonprofits, and just to set aside, of course, it is great to help a good cause. Like, but that's a given. But just from a purely logistical business perspective, nonprofits tend to know what their budget is, which is really nice because it makes it clear for me. I can be mindful of, where the limit is and what we can do with that budget. Whereas, because usually there's like annual funding, like a budget every year. A small business owner, a lot of times they're just kind of like, well, I don't know what my cash flow is going to be next month. And I don't, so unless they've gotten a grant, sometimes it can be difficult, or it can be a lot of conversation around like how much they can actually afford it. Always know. Because it's really, a lot of times I'll get the answer of like, well, I could spend a lot if it's going to generate a lot of sales. And it's like, well,
I don't know.
there's a lot of factors in this generation of sales. It's not just,
Yeah, I think small businesses need that stability to like be able to make those kind of promises. So yeah, like it totally makes sense. I think like big businesses would probably able to like pay more money as well.
Right. And I mean, it's of course, like a big budget's always nice to have, but like a clear budget, a straightforward budget is really nice. Even if it's small, it's like, oh, let's just make the scope according to that. And yeah.
Amazing. Well, Julia, this is almost all of the time that we have for today, but I do have a game prepared for us.
Cool. Love it.
Going to set a timer on my phone right now for 1 minute. Where's my clock? Oh, here it is. So basically what we're going to do is that I have 20 questions prepared for you, and they're not marketing, tech, any kind of like, business thing related. They're just fun questions, and you see if you can get through all 20 in a minute, or as many as you can. Well, no pressure, but nobody has gotten through 20. So let's see if you're going to come out on the winning side or join the losers.
Okay. Great. Now my competitive energy is just like peak here. All right. And this is just like, I'm just answering like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do
So
it.
if you don't know the answer for one question, you can lie. Like if you really want to win, if you were not win,
okay, so now this is still my answers, just fast answers.
Hey,
all right, I don't want to bring that.
Okay, and go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl for sure.
Favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Go to a karaoke song.
Son of a Preacher Man by Dusty Springfield.
Books or podcasts?
Well, it depends on the context. I think books lately.
One word that describes you?
Cold right now.
Case from destination?
Well, San Francisco.
Most used app on your phone?
Gmail.
Favorite emoji?
The crying when I'm laughing so hard.
What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent? I'm really into home organization right now.
Favorite emoji? Oh, no, sorry. Go to comfort food.
Comfort food, mac and cheese. Is that the timer? Does that this that cannot have been 20 questions. I feel like that was more like
that was 10 questions. Yeah, that was 10 questions.
I thought my word to describe myself was cold based on like my current bodily current thing.
I felt like when you said cold, that's why you meant like a cold person, like cold.
Like I'm really like shut off and like no, not like but I was like no, like literally I need warmer socks right now.
I was like, yeah, she doesn't seem like a cold person, but I did tell her to lie.
Very, very literally, Daniela.
No, Julia, thank you so much for doing that. Great. Unfortunately, you also did not get through the 20 questions, but that's okay. Nobody had.
I've done my best,
It's an undoable challenge, I think. But I do want to give you the space right now to tell all of our viewers and our followers to go to wherever you want to send them to. If you are looking to plug anything, I've had a couple people who are looking to hire people and they're doing the shout outs. So whatever the one space is yours.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. I mean, I'm always looking for maintenance clients on WordPress. That's like the section I want to grow so much right now. I'm hoping to hire an online business manager. So if folks are out there and they are really good at that, please contact me. Even if you don't feel like you're that good at it, like let's chat. And we'll make you good at it. What else am I looking for? I think like in the new year also am amping up my content marketing for my own business. So if people want to follow YouTube and Instagram, like Wheelhorse Web, if you go to our website, you'll see all the links for that. And yeah, so stay tuned for that.
Amazing. Yeah, I will be adding the links to your website and information to the description of this video so that people can go ahead and find you. And for those of you who are listening, go to the video for the links. And Julia, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
It was really fun. Yeah. Everybody, I'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.